Here are some British phrases for travel and places. We have the Tube, the London Underground. So the Tube, these are trains that run underground, and the Tube, I really like the Tube because generally they arrive quite frequently, so you can always get from one place to the other very quickly. However, the Tube can become really crowded, especially at peak times. So in the morning when people are going to work, or when in the evening when they finish work and they're going home. So it can be quite packed in the Tube. And also sometimes people don't have Tube etiquette, so they may miss if someone is pregnant or disabled. Sometimes people can be a bit strange in that they don't make eye contact, I guess because they want to zone out after work. So making eye contact is a big no-no, and talking to each other, which is a bit strange because in today's society, I think it's quite nice to be friendly to each other. Things are stressful as it is. We're all in the same boat. We're just trying to make it and have a good quality of life. So yeah, so that's the Tube. So we have some sentences here. We took the Tube to Oxford Circus. The Tube can get really crowded at rush hour. So rush hour, this is when it's really busy. There's actually a film called Rush Hour, which I thought was quite funny, with Jackie Chan back in the day. Motorway. So this is what we call the highway or the freeway, as Americans would call it, but we call it the motorway. We drove up the M1 motorway. Accidents often cause delays on the motorway. So the motorway is quite nice because it allows you to quickly get from one place to the other rather than taking small roads. But then you do have more accidents, I feel, on the motorway. So you have to be very vigilant. You have to be very careful when you're driving on the motorway. Loo. This is a British word for the toilet. Where's the loo? He popped to the loo during the film. So the loo, you may hear someone say, can you tell me where the loo is, please? So it's just an informal way to ask for where's the toilet. So the loo. Flat. So in America, people would call this an apartment, but we call it a flat. They've got a lovely flat in Manchester. I'm renting a flat near the station. So that's a flat. So you can have a block of flats. What would you prefer living in? Flats or a house? Well, if you live in a house, I feel you have more freedom. You have a bit more space. In a flat, you have less space, but then it can be a bit cheaper. And especially for people that can't climb stairs, they could take the lift. So you can see here, when I'm going through each of these words, I'm thinking about pros and cons. I'm thinking about what are the positive things and what are the negative things. And you can see this as a game. It's a fantastic way to improve your English. So throughout your day, you're having a conversation with yourself in your head. Petrol station. So in America, this will be called a gas station. We call it a petrol station. We need to stop at a petrol station. The nearest petrol station is 5 miles away. So here at the petrol station, you have to fill up your own petrol. Petrol stations, they have like a little shop as well where you can buy a sandwich or something to eat or a packet of crisps. So it's very convenient. A dual carriageway. So this is a divided road with 2 lanes in each direction. We drove along the dual carriageway to Bristol. It's quicker using the dual carriageway. So a dual carriageway is like a motorway, but just bigger. So you have more lines. A lay-by. So a lay-by is a rest area at the side of the road. We pulled into a lay-by for a break. There's a cafe next to the lay-by. A car park. In America, this will be called a parking lot. We call it a car park, so pretty straightforward. The car park was full. There's a multi-story car park by the cinema. So car parks, you'll find these everywhere. They're very useful. Some can be more expensive than others, depending on where you want to park. Some have a time allowance. They may give you some free time, and you'll have to top up or pay for a certain amount of time. And a lot of car parks now, they have a service where they have an app, so you can pay online, and it's quite convenient. You can check, for example, if you want to go to the gym and you park in the car park, You can pay using the app, and then when you're in the gym, you can see, oh, my time's running out, I want to stay longer at the gym. Then you can top up your car park ticket. A B&B. This is a bed and breakfast, a small guest house. We stayed in a cozy B&B by the coast. The B&B served a huge breakfast. So B&B, the advantage over a B&B over a hotel is that a B&B is a bit more cozy. It can be a bit cheaper as well, not necessarily, but it can be a bit cheaper. You have your breakfast included, and you don't really have a lot of the fancy facilities that you may get in a more expensive hotel. So a B&B generally has less rooms than a hotel. Okay, a detached house. So a detached house is a house that stands alone, not joined to another building. The clue here is detached, not attached. So attached is joined together, detached is separate. So they live in a large detached house outside town. The detached house has a big garden and a garage. So a detached house, this seems to be like the dream of many people, to have a house where you're not surrounded by other houses. In the UK, many houses are close together. This can be very expensive. To be honest, I don't mind because, like I said, we're all living together in a community, so it's nice to talk to each other. So that's a detached house. Next up, we have a council estate. So this is a public housing area. He grew up on a council estate. The council estate is being renovated. So renovated here, it's being done up. So maybe they have an old kitchen, an old living room, and they are renovating it they are modernizing it. Maybe they're changing some of the kitchen features like the sink or the fridge or the tiles. So this is a council estate. High street. So the high street is the main shopping street in a town. So you may also have a shopping center. In America, it would be called a mall, but we call it a shopping center. So on the high street, you would have lots of shops, but not in a big building. So for some people, it may be a bit strange because it'll be like a long road and you'll have shops next to each other. It's quite good because you can get your steps in, you do a lot more walking, you're outdoors. It can be a bit more difficult because you have to do a lot more walking. So if you go to one shop at the top of the high street and you want to check the price with another shop, you may have to keep walking back and forth. So most shops are on the high street. We walk down the high street looking for a cafe. A terraced house. This is a row house joined to others on both sides. They live in a terraced house in London. The terraced houses all look similar. Yeah, so lots of the houses do look similar. They're quite old. Some people try to add their own individuality by painting different colors, but generally the shape of the houses are pretty standard, the same. Sat-nav, a GPS navigation device. So the sat-nav took us the wrong way. She uses her phone as a sat-nav. So do you use a sat-nav? I use a sat-nav on my phone. I'd be lost without it. But before I used my phone, I used to use a standalone Garmin sat-nav, which was incredibly handy. But it seems like they've become obsolete now, as many people use their smartphone and apps on their phone to find their way around. A holiday. So in America, this would be a vacation. We're going on holiday to Spain. How was your holiday? Are you going on any holidays this year? What was your best holiday that you've ever been on? So let me know about that. So here we have some phrases for travel and places. So what I want you to do is go through each word, try to make your own sentences, to incorporate these words into your life, into your vocabulary, so they feel natural. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye-bye.